Welcome to Snail Trail 4x4. Today we're going to be installing a new head unit in my 2016 Tacoma Charlotte. I'm super excited to be installing a new head unit in my truck. The Toyota technology in these older third gens is absolute garbage. I hit the little button to talk and I say call my father and it calls my buddy's wife and it's just rubbish. So I'm excited to be installing a new head unit that has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in it, which these older vehicles didn't. I think around 2020 is when they did that change. This thing comes with so many goodies. I'm excited to show you what it has, everything that's involved in it, and all of the capabilities that this head unit has that these trucks never came with. So first off, let's open this thing up. I know there's going to be a ton of wires in here. And don't get scared because it's actually not that hard. The amount of wires, it looks a bit overwhelming, but it's almost all completely plug and play, which is really cool. I also got the smaller version, the 9-inch version. They make a bigger, like 10.5-inch version, which replaces the bevel on the inside of the Tacoma, but I wanted to keep my bevel, my original one, so I went with the smaller one that's just replaces the factory unit itself. So, yeah. Let's see, we got some cables here, more cables, oh no, zip ties, and some trim removal tools. That's really cool. I pulled out a bunch of the installation steps and manual and all just a second ago too. All right, let's be gentle. Cool. All wrapped up nice and pretty. There we go. It's all pretty enclosed. It's got a nice aluminum frame. The screen looks nice and big. That's one of the things about the Tacoma the Tacoma standard dash is I got the technology package in this one and it looks big, but the actual screen's really small. This one appears that the screen's much larger than the factory one. Tons of plugs on the back, HDMI in there. So this looks really cool. It doesn't actually look that difficult. So I'm excited to do so. Maybe I'll open some of these up and get an idea what we got. We got two bags here. We have the CB004-X and CB047. I'm gonna have to figure out which. I'm sure there's two different types of cables in there. If I can open this up. Let me get some scissors. It's probably the same connectors, roughly, but for different versions of the truck, whether you probably have an older or newer version. The way I always determine the difference between those is if you have the LED headlights or you have the halogen projector styles. Version 1 here, which is the CB047, and then this guy here, which is the CB004-X. Two different completely ones. I'll figure out which one's going to work with my unit and my truck. And I'm assuming the other one works for the newer vehicles. And then this one says accessories. So this is probably all the other stuff. Let's get this guy out of the way a little bit. So yeah, just a whole bunch of more cables in here. A little antenna, some USB plugs, and I'll go over all this stuff in just a moment when we start connecting everything. Cool. All right. So that's a whole bunch of wires, but like I said earlier, don't get overwhelmed. They make all the plugs plug and play. It's quite easy to look at all this wire and be concerned that you're not going to put it in the right spot, but really you can only plug them into the back of the unit or onto the electrical of the truck one way. So it's not as difficult as it looks. All right, so next step, the first thing you should always do when you're working on electrical is we're gonna pop the hood and disconnect the negative of the battery, which is just a 10mm. Don't judge me, my engine's filthy right now. There we go. I just pulled it off and slid it down behind the battery so that it doesn't have a chance of popping back up and hitting anything. Let's jump inside and start disconnecting the old head unit so that I can bring it out here and we can compare. The first step to removing your head unit, the factory head unit, is you got to remove the bezel. I just have these phone mounts on here, so I'll just kind of push these up and out of the way. That one actually comes off. That's nice. The next step is to pry this off. There's some good handholds right back here that you can just push your thumbs against the dash. There's another kind of spot over here, but it's easier on this side, I found. And you just literally push against it and it pops off. Then you can just pry the rest of it away. There you go. One thing to take into account, flip this over real quick. Look at all these tabs. Make sure that you have all these red clips on there. If you don't have a red clip, it's probably in one of these spots. Pull it out, put it back into place. So when you reassemble everything, you got it all in one spot. All right, the next thing to do is you got what looks like 12 millimeter bolts in there. So we got 4 of them. Let me grab the right hardware. 10 millimeters, I was incorrect earlier. I'm gonna use an extension so I'm not bumping up against the old radio. It just gets me a little bit away. The bolts are set back a little bit. Oh, that one was pretty loose. Now this thing should just simply pull out.
Simply was such an understatement. This thing gave me no room. It was such a pain in the butt. I look like a fool trying to get this thing out, but I did eventually.
So I've got this doesn't have a lot of room on mine at all. I've seen some that can pull all the way out to your shifter, some other ones, but all these clips have a little press that you have to push down on your thumb with your thumb, and then you can pull them all out. I'm just gonna start disconnecting things till it starts popping its way further out. One of those, whatever this one, now it's got plenty of, I don't know what it was. One of these was super tight, but now I got all kinds of room. All right, pull the rest of these guys out. Well, now we got the head unit out. This guy can go in the garbage as far as I'm concerned, but I got to pull these brackets off because I have to put those on the other one because we're going to be putting the new one back in the same exact location, but we have a lot of wires to hook up, so let me show you how to do that. All right, here we go. We got the wiring going on. I do have the old head unit right here. I think the only thing with the old head unit that I'm going to miss is the CD player. Just kidding. I don't know if I've ever played a CD in there. There's the mapping software for Toyota. I'm actually semi-curious if I can unplug that and plug it in here and see if that works or gives it some data or something. So might play with that in the future. But let me walk you through the steps and all this electrical. So they do have a good diagram, a good layout, and I'll put that up on the screen now for what type of unit you have, whether it's the older or newer styles, and then it tells you which wiring harness to use. Is that the plug that they actually suggested me to use is not the right one. It's actually the opposite one. So maybe something you guys should do in the future, or first thing is take these into your vehicle and test them out and see which plugs fit, because when I went in there and tried to connect these 3 main plugs, none of them fit into anything, and then I grabbed this guy and they all fit. So I'm gonna pull this all out now. Let go. There you go. Another thing you have to do is this like control box, you have to take it off. And then the black plug will go in where the other one went. And there's just a small pin connector here for the control module. There you go. And then now we need to reconnect the antenna. Let's keep moving down the line. We've got the blue plug here, and this looks like it has some of the brakes. It has auxiliaries. It has the front camera connector, some sort of ground to it. That seems to be wired off pretty well. Like I said, these plugs are all have a specific place. So if you look at it, where your thumb would press down, it's a square, and then it has a slot on this side. So there's really only one spot it could go, I guess, and that's here. Nope, that's not even it. This one. There you go. See, you can just sort of look at them and know where they're going to be plugged in. Let's see, this has front, left, right, cables, auxiliary, subwoofer. This, I believe, is all for an amp. This also has a camera in This is a big plug. It's the only big plug on here, so we can just push that in there. This one's the microphone, and it has a certain layout to it, and must go upside down and right here. So gray is furthest to the bottom right. Here's a USB, single port USB. That must go here. Purple goes next to the big plug for your stereo system, additional stereo system, amp, subwoofers, and stuff like that. Here's 2 more USBs. I don't know what speeds USBs they are. They don't say. It says phone link. I wish it were USB-Cs, but they're not. This goes next to the other nope, that one goes one beyond the previous USB. So we got the purple space brown. Let's pull these back. We got these 2 little tiny like coax cables. One of them's 4G and one of them's Wi-Fi. This little antenna here should be Wi-Fi. Screw that in. Want to make it tight, but you don't want to make it over tight. Let's see, let's start pulling some of this stuff apart. Where are my scissors again? We've got a few different types of antennas. This bigger one with the blue plug, which goes over here on the blue side. This is your GPS. And there's really, again, only one way to put that in. Snap. This shark fin. Shark fin one here, flat, fairly long. 3M tape on the underside. This is the other coax. This one's your 4G. I'm going to put them all on right now. You don't have to add them on if there's some things that you're not going to be using, but I figure why not put them all on, and eventually you might be able to upgrade. Let's see. Okay. So this is the microphone. I'm gonna hold on to that until we get into the vehicle. And let's see, last one here. Ooh, almost dropped it. SIM card. So you can plug in a SIM card into the radio so that it's standalone. You don't need to worry about a mobile phone connecting to it or anything like that. So if you have a SIM card, an additional SIM card, you can plug that into the back of your head unit here, and then it will be standalone. It will be able to get its own Wi-Fi. It will be able to get its own data plan, and you can connect to the internet straight from that SIM card into this unit, so you can do navigation or music or anything like that. I've got 2 USBs left, so I need to figure out where those go. So I did a little bit of research, and I found out that depending on what USB connector you have inside your vehicle, you need to connect one of these 2 USBs. I happen to have the gray one inside there, and I'll show you in just a bit. And so I'm just going to connect this USB to the single USB port on here. So these just snap together. I might throw some tape around that just for safety in the future. The last thing we need to do, well, actually 2 things we need to do, is we're going to connect the auxiliary port. So when you connect in like an 1/8 inch stereo speaker into your like dash, or underneath just under the dash in the USB port, it'll come through. So if you're gonna reach onto this main harness here, there's gonna be a selection of these RCA cables. You're gonna grab the aux L in and aux L in R cables, and we're gonna connect those to this blue one here that's also has aux in, or aux L in and aux R in. So we're just going to literally connect these guys together, white to white, red to red. Bam. I almost never use that. I'm always using Bluetooth connection, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to. The last thing we need to do is connect the backup camera. And that's also on this main harness here. Mine has 2 camera outputs for 1 camera input. So I don't know exactly which one to be using here, but you're going to grab what I call the amplifier setup here, and you'll see that there's 2 reds, 2 whites, 2 yellows, and 1 green. On the 2 yellows, you're going to see cam in and aux-V. we're gonna use the cam in one, and I'm just gonna try and guess which one it is to put it on there. And then when I connect everything up, I'm just gonna have to see if the backup camera works, and if not, then you have to switch these, I guess. I'm not sure how to tell which one's which. In the meantime, I put on the brackets to mount everything up as well, so we can put things back together now. All right, into the truck we go. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but with me futzing around with everything, all these cables got super long and now easy to use. I don't know why. Something was hung up in there originally, so I don't know what it was. But now we can put this all in. Let's see, we want to go this way. Pull all this back. Okay. And really it's just plug and play here. There's only a certain way to put these things together. And some things like this one happens to not even be used. So let's see here. Mainly you just grab a plug and connect them together. All those aren't going to be needed, so let's see with this one. Nope, too big, too small. Other way around maybe on this one. Yep, there you go.
I said it before, I've said it a few times, that these plugs truly are plug and play. So just grab one, try it in all the options, and eventually you'll end up with all the plugs plugged in.
That happens to be the one I connected the camera to, so I'm gonna pull that off, push it to the side, and grab the other yellow one that is connected to something. Let's go there. And then we have the USB to the gray. Yeah, okay. So test that out to see which one fits on your plug here before you connect the USB. All right, going back to the solo USB. There we go. Last thing is the microphone. I'm gonna route that probably right around here. I'm also halfway curious where Toyota's microphone is and seeing if I could plug into that. But for the sake of the video, I'm gonna use what they provided. I think I can reach it though. So I just stuck it right here behind the key, where the key is. And I can hear it dangling right underneath this vent, and I can reach under the vent. Yep, there we go. Okay. Yeah, you can just route that right by your column. So we'll pull that back. I'm open to ideas if anybody else has any other better suggestions on where to put that. I'm gonna end up putting it there. In the meantime, I had a zip tie with it. Oh, it's down there. I'm gonna wrap this. Maybe I'll give myself a little bit more. Go like that. And then that connects into the microphone one, which I did not connect earlier, which is right here. All right, my next step is I'm gonna tape all these connectors so that they don't come undone. I'm gonna grab some electrical tape and I'm gonna wrap it all up. So, antenna, another one we need to do. Yeah, just make sure you're plugging everything in. Here we go, antenna. Boom. Yeah, just make sure all the plugs are taken care of. One thing I didn't even talk about is it has an HDMI in. So, I mean, I might run a cable over to my glove box or something at some point, and then I can just connect something up to it, maybe a Fire Stick or some sort of connector. I'm not sure what I would use it for exactly, but it might be something good to get access to at some point. But anyways, let me grab that electrical tape. Actually, before I tape up the wires, I'm gonna plug the battery on, start this thing up, make sure it all works right, and make sure that the rear camera is gonna come out. So let me connect the battery and we'll see how things go. All right, let's see what we got. Just gonna randomly shove all this back there for now, just to get it up and visible. There's a ground wire also I'm thinking about connecting somewhere. Probably a smart idea. It looks like a lot of wires, but there's tons of room down below. So if you can get this stuff to kind of drop down, you probably can shove this back there pretty easily. Okay. Maybe not so easy. Let's see what we got. Turned on. Well, it went blue. All right, 13 multimedia on-vehicle navigation system. Android. It's taking a little bit of time to boot up. Says the door's open. Hey, we got a screen. I don't have any my phone connected or anything. Radio works. All right, let's turn this thing on. Now let's go to reverse. Used to my other rig. Yeah! Hey, that's cool. It moves with my tires. My old truck, or the old system didn't do that, so that's really nice. All right, let's tape things up.
I just grabbed my electrical tape here and wrapped the connections a few times, making sure that each one of the connections wouldn't come loose. I know this is a little bit overkill, but you know, once I take the dash apart, put it back together again a few times, I didn't want to do it again. So figured I'd tape it, make it secure, and leave it forever.
Okay. All right, last steps here are to mount the GPS, wire the USBs. Oh, this is the 4G GPS. And then the SIM card, I don't know what I'm going to do there. I think I'm just going to leave it back there somewhere. There is... I think I just might mount it, like stick them to the sides of the vents. The vents come up and then spin around and come down. I might just stick them both up in there. They do suggest you to wire your GPS up into a corner. If I don't get good GPS signal, I will do that. But I think right now I'm just going to put them up here, and we'll see how that works. Okay, with everything now I believe in place, it's time to figure out if I can fit all this up there somehow. Shove things to the side, shove things down, push things backwards, wiggle it around. I might keep that ground wire out. I'm gonna keep this ground wire out. Doesn't want to go. It's gonna be nice and tight.
After futzing around a little bit with the cable management in the back, I found that you could push it down and to the left and right sides, and then it fit pretty well. From there, it was just a matter of screwing everything in. There's also tabs on the bottom corners that you had to line up, and for me, my bracket was a little outboard, and it took a little futzing around to get that bottom bracket on. But from there, I just connected that ground wire up and snugged all the bolts down.
Or let's snap this onto place, and we're done.
I found it easiest to align the top tabs and then hammer hand in the remainder.
Microphone, last step. So with the microphone, they gave you two options. They give you a little clip that you can attach somewhere. And then they gave you I'll put it right there for now. Might be nice to have it a little higher. They also give you a clip and a sticky. Forgot which one I said first. But so you just can pull off that. There's just a little ball that you push in. Then I'm just going to push it on here. Oh man, rookie move on my part. My memory card just got full. Anyways, what I was just saying was thanks to Dasaita for sending me a head unit. I'm going to put a link down in the description if you're interested in getting one of these. They're really fantastic. The display is clear. The touch is very great. It moves around as when you can swipe on the screens, and it works fantastic. This is the 9-inch version, which is larger. The display is larger than factory. They make a 10.5, like 10 and a quarter, 10.5 inch version, and an 11-inch version, which comes with a different bezel than the factory one. They'll send you an additional bezel with that. I wanted to keep mine more factory looking, more normal size, so I went with this one. I'm going to do a follow-up video with key features of the new head unit and why I went with it and its benefits and all the different things that it can do. I'll probably try to figure out how to use that HDMI and things like that. So look forward to that. Thank you for watching, and don't forget, my friends, keep crawling.